The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I want to share an insane story. A story with the Mekubal Rabbi Moshe de Leon. The story is brought down in the Sefer Chemdat Yamim. Otherwise, I would not have believed it. In the days of this great Mekubal, I wonder if he's related to Shmuel, by the way. Right? In the day of this great Mekubal, a man came to him who truly was a wicked person. He'd spent his life doing all the wrong things. Anyway, Vayihi Hayom, and the day comes, and this person, he realizes it's not going to end well for him. He sees God, he sees God's hand, he sees the tzaddikim, he's learning the ways of the world, he realizes, this guy, what has he got? He's got to do teshuvah at any cost. He comes to the rabbi and he says to the rabbi, please tell me whatever I need to do, I'll do it. I'm already trying to better my ways, but how do I undo all of the terrible avonot I did my whole life? And the rabbi says, well, what have you done? And the man tells him, and the rabbi can't believe what he's hearing. How terrible this man. But he sees the man is really wants to do teshuvah. He says to him, listen, some of the averot that you're describing to me, they carry with it a death penalty. He says, the teshuvah for you will be if you accept on yourself to die al kiddush Hashem. He says, to die? He says, yes. The death, you're saying you're doing teshuvah, you're accepting on yourself ownership, responsibility. You know, you did the crime, got to do the time. Guy says, okay. He says, well, the most hamur of the mitot bedin is sirefa, is when they would burn the person if a person had an extreme case, an extreme crime. So it doesn't involve, they don't burn you in a fire. What is sirefat bedin? They would take boiling hot lead, the person would open up and they would pour it down, and instantly the guy would burn its way through the person, the guy would be dead in a second. It's one of the processes of executing the death penalty. We didn't have an electric chair. Right? We say it on Yom Kippur. Right? So he says, do you accept on yourself? He says, sure. He says, okay, tomorrow morning, put your affairs in order, come to the Beit Din, we're going to carry it out. Guy goes home, says goodbye, does everything he needs to do, ties everything up with a ribbon, comes back into the place. The rabbi says, are you ready? Yes. He says the vidui. Okay. He says the tefillot. He gets ready. Masir moda'ah. He lies down. The rabbi puts a blindfold on him, and he hears the sound of the lead bubbling smell. He says, okay, say again the vidui. Ashamnu, again, it's crying. Bagadnu, gazalnu, debarnu, dofi. He goes through the whole process. And finally he finishes and he says, are you ready? Man says, I'm ready. He says, open your mouth. Opens his mouth. And he pours down his throat the besamim that we have on Saturday night. The rose water. The man's, what is this? He spits it out, tears off the thing. He says, what are you doing to me? What is it? The rabbi says, it's fine. You were willing. We didn't need to go through with it. You just needed to indicate that you were willing. And the man says, please, Rabbi, you don't know. I was there when I did all those sins. I need this kapara. Please. He's begging the man. The rabbi says, relax. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu carries out punishment. We don't carry out these punishments. It's between you and God. Your teshuvah is whole. Teshuvah has the power to remake a person. You're good. You're clean. Live the rest of your life. B'kedusha u'tara. The man does. He becomes a student completely connected with the rabbi. There was one thing the rabbi promised him if he did complete teshuvah. He promised him that when he would pass away, he would go to Gan Eden, and the rabbi would attempt to pull him to be in the same place in Gan Eden as him. I thought to myself, how could the rabbi make that? Could a rabbi tell you? Imagine some guy comes over to you, Rabbi, look, I want to be with you in Gan Eden. Was it an extra seat at the Rangers game? No problem. I'm going to tell God. Whenever He tells me where I'm going, I'm like, I need to. What does that mean? I think the answer is that the rabbi recognized how far the person was. And he realized that if he did complete teshuvah from that place, he would actually merit. The merit would be so great, like the Gemara says, "B'makom sheba'alei teshuvah omdim," in a place that a true Ba'al teshuvah stands, tzadikim gemurim einam omdim. A complete tzaddik doesn't stand. Why? Shelo ta'am chet. Because the tzaddik, he lived his whole life, all he ate was, kosher tuna fish, bagels. He never had the bacon supreme, burgers steam. Never had it. Doesn't know what it tastes like. Doesn't know what it means to not go in and eat it. So the rabbi said, from where you're standing, if you do teshuvah, you'll be with me. He became the closest student of Rabbi Moshe de Leon, studied Torah with him, was in his Bet Midrash, never moved, lived his entire life b'Kedusha u'Tahara. And I want to read this to you. When the rabbi died, this student, he prayed to God. He non-stop prayed to God when his rabbi passed, Sheyamut Gamu, that he should also go with his rabbi. Before he passed, right next to his rabbi, I don't know if it was the same day, within a few days, he said, Panu makom, Rabbi Moshe de Leon, make way, he said, for Rabbi Moshe de Leon, sheba lekayem shvuato loholicheni legan ha'eden letzido. Because I see that he's coming to me now to clear the way for me to come with him to Gan Eden. Rabbi Galinsky says an unbelievable insight. He said this story, as strange, as weird, wild, wacky, wonderful as it may seem, it carries with it a tremendous lesson. And the lesson is that almost always, when a person is attempting to do teshuvah, or attempting to better their ways, or attempting to do something that they thought that they couldn't do, what they thought they were opening their mouth for was a mouthful of molten lead. They decide they're not going to speak Lashon Hara, it's going to be murder. They decide they're only going to eat kosher, it's going to be murder. It's going to be the worst. I'm going to keep Shabbat, forget it, Rabbi. My friends only go out on Shabbat and on kosher restaurants. No Shabbat, no on kosher, what am I even alive for? They think it's going to be the worst thing ever. But then when they go there, when they make the attempt, what do they get? A mouthful of rose water.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org